Welcome to You Had to Be There, the podcast where we deep dive into the world of the music industry. I'm your host, Julia Gomberg. My guest this week is Nashville-based singer-songwriter Caroline Romano. Caroline started writing emotionally driven songs at only 13 years old and even performed at a college bar open mic in Nashville with her parents' support. Since then, she's grown into a versatile artist who moves seamlessly between misty-eyed ballads and fiery rock anthems. If you're drawn to the cinematic storytelling of artists like Gracie Abrams or Holly Humberstone, Caroline's new EP, It Took Me Falling, captures that same feeling, the vulnerability, the intensity, and those fleeting butterfly moments of meeting someone new. Make sure to check out Caroline's EP, It Took Me Falling, which is out now, along with the playlist she curated to go with our conversation. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Hi, I'm Caroline Romano, and I'm an alt-pop artist and songwriter based in Nashville, Tennessee.
Amazing. I'm so excited to chat with you, and congratulations on your new EP. It Took Me Falling just came out. How's it feeling?
Thank you. It feels good. It's been a long time in the making. And so it's always like a weird sense of like relief that it's out, but also like anticipation about like, okay, what's next? Do the next thing. But also just trying to like live in the moment and be glad that it's finally out for sure.
Yeah, no, that's a great attitude and it makes sense, the balance. I feel like usually when I talk to people, it's right before the EP or album comes out. So it's interesting now to talk about it.
Stress.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Yeah. The nervous 100%. Energy. Yeah, it's all cool. Well, I'm excited to dive deep into that, but I want to start kind of way back in the beginning. Like I'd love to start with sort of hearing what your relationship with music was like growing up.
Yeah, so I really didn't start writing music. I always loved music, always loved listening to music. No one in my family was like particularly musical, but we always enjoyed it. I remember listening to like Shania Twain, Bryan Adams CDs in my dad's truck on the way to school. But I didn't start writing music until I was in middle school and I learned to play guitar. And I really didn't have a ton of friends back in middle school. I was definitely in my the most extreme part of my awkward phase. I won't say we ever outgrew that phase, but it was the worst then. Sure. And so I was just trying to figure myself out, and I started like journaling and then putting it to the chords I learned on guitar that day. And that's how I kind of fell in love with songwriting. I started coming to Nashville that same year. I asked my parents to take me for my 13th birthday. And I just fell in love with it. And I fell in love with playing my songs like in different venues around town. And it was just kind of an addiction from there for sure.
Wow. So yeah, you found like the place that really kind of made you inspired. And yeah, did you immediately know like that's where you wanted to try to kick off your career?
Definitely, because I mean, at 13, I'm from a small town in Mississippi. And so I was like, this is the biggest city to ever exist. Right. And also it's just all about music, which is incredible. And people are so like they want to listen, they want to hear, and that's really a special thing. And so I definitely knew it would be a great home base to kind of start my career.
Yeah, for sure. What were you writing about when you first were hitting pen to paper?
Right. So at 13, didn't have a ton going on, but I was writing about my like aspirations to be a musician, kind of just like the general feeling of not feeling like I fit in where I was at school in my town. Very, very middle school things, but they were profound for me at the time, I guess. So. Yeah,
I think it's profound that you were able to turn it into art, because I'm sure, I mean, I can relate. Middle school was rough, but like I didn't have that outlet. Yeah, I think especially for girls, I think people don't talk about that enough a lot. I talk about it plenty in therapy, but yeah, it's not a good time.
It's the worst of the eras for sure, but we made it through.
Yeah, and it clearly paid off, and you really developed like, an outlet for yourself. When you write, even back then, like, how would you kind of start? Did it start with sort of like a feeling or like in a situation?
It kind of depended, especially back then. Like I've always been a very lyrics-based person. And so I would always start with just like a line that would come into my head. Or if I had a bad day, like, or a good day, whatever happened that day, just writing about it, sort of like a telling of events. Mm-hmm. And then trying to find a way that, that kind of naturally shapes itself into a song. But yeah, it pretty much always just starts with like an idea or a story I just wanted to tell from the day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When did you like have interest in performing? Was that something that you were doing? Like, when did you start getting into that side of it?
Yeah, so that was definitely a big part of my like falling in love with music, and especially like part of the reason I chose Nashville, because I was very, and I still am a very shy, reserved person, like day to day,
Mm.
naturally, and especially back then, like was not comfortable in my own skin, did not know like who, what I was about. And it wasn't until I played my first open mic night the week of my 13th birthday. I played like a college bar, which don't know how I got into that college bar. My parents were with me, and like it was all these wonderful college kids who were very supportive. But I remember playing like with my little acoustic guitar, and I felt so like at peace and confident and like myself. And I think that was really a big realization of like, okay, I think this is who I am and what I'm meant to do, because it's a confidence that I don't have walking around in day to day life for sure.
That's amazing that you were able to capture that at such a young age and like really feel the support and energy.
Right.
I'm amazed and in awe of people that feel like themselves the most when they perform, because like I sing in the shower and stuff, but like performing is really scary. Like I think that's amazing.
No, I get it. I feel like people who are able to confidently give their order to the drive-through is really incredible, because I am always like, oh my God, wait, never mind. I didn't mean it like that. So
yeah, that's so true.
yeah. So
yeah,
we all have our things.
Would you describe yourself more of like an introvert or more of like an introverted extrovert, or how, where would you say you live in that?
I'm definitely an introvert. I think my actual like Spotify bio and kind of like a thing I go by is I call myself the loudest sort of introvert, because in the ways I am loud, I feel very, vocal and forward. But you've got to kind of like find the moments. So I think I'm an introvert. Like in a room of 100 people, I'm not going to be the one talking the most. I don't think.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But sort of like your songwriting, yeah, is that outlet to kind of step out of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did it feel like as you continued to perform and even today, like feeling a room full of people sort of relating or connecting to your music?
It definitely feels like being seen for the first time every single time. Like it's never a feeling I get used to. It really is just incredible to feel like people relate so greatly to what you're saying and things you wrote, at least for me, in a moment where oftentimes I go to music to write when I feel like I don't even understand what I'm going through. I don't understand what I'm feeling, much less somebody else. But then people do, and those are the things that stick. And so it really is like finding a community you never knew was out there, and it's just constantly growing, which is super special.
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, your music definitely feels like super self-aware and also has this sort of like emotional chaos to it. Like, do you process your what you're writing about like as you're writing about it, or does it kind of come together more emotionally like after?
I feel like I kind of go into like, I just like to get all the words down. And sometimes I don't even realize like what necessarily has been written. I'm in this particular like era of my writing right now where I'm trying not to overthink things, and I'm trying not to overthink my writing. And I feel like the best stuff I get is when I just like literally word vomit it all out and analyze later. And so I think for the most part, the songs that I am the most proud of are the ones that I'm like, yeah, I analyze that later. At the time, it's just all like stream of consciousness getting it out.
That's so cool. Yeah, I would definitely want to dive into like the EP, but like I've been listening to Not Used to You on repeat, and I think the lyrics are so like beautifully like woven in and like such complex words, but it creates such a story to it. That's like such that takes talent, I think, for sure. But yeah, so your new EP, as I've been kind of hinting at, is called It Took Me Falling. You said that this EP is like your answer to why it's worth it to go through heartbreak or difficult times. Yeah, like can you talk a little bit about what the inspiration was behind that?
Yeah, so I feel like this is the project I feel like I've been waiting like pretty much all of my life to write, because for most of my like subject matter of my songs since I've started writing music has been a lot of like heartbreak and searching, and a lot of like the negative parts of love and dreams and like going after things that you know you want. And this EP was kind of like the answer to me. Like I found myself falling in love for, I realized what actually was the first time over the past year. And as I started writing it, I just had a lot of like clarity and peace about things that happened in my past that I never expected to. And it kind of did just feel like, okay, I know I've always said everything happens for a reason, but now I actually kind of believe it. And so this EP is kind of just like a recollection of that story falling into place.
Wow, that's really cool. Did you know it was going to be an EP, or like how did it all come together?
I honestly didn't know. I knew kind of in like a few months in that I would think I was writing an EP. The first song I wrote for the project was Not Used to You. And again, I didn't know at the time I was writing a project. But I just started like sensing like these songs are telling this story. So might as well make it a concise little, start to finish thing. So yeah, also I just love a project. I can't resist. Like I have to do it. So
how so?
I don't know. I just like, I know we're in like a very like singles world right now, or like,
Right.
one or two songs at a time, like really pushing. But I just love like the whole thematic, like having like a arch and an ending and it being like a literal start to finish story. And it's just always the way I love to put puzzle pieces together when it comes to writing like that. So even though it's not something I necessarily should always do or like should be releasing a ton of EPs, I love doing it.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, it definitely feels very cohesive. And you're totally right. We are in such a landscape for these singles that people get like caught up on for like a couple weeks and then it's forgotten. But I think having something so tangible like an EP out there is such a cool thing to own and like to have represent you.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like, yeah, what was the like, I guess from the beginning, like, how did you come up with the name? Did that kind of come later or did you have that idea in mind?
That was actually the very last song, very last idea I had for the project. I had everything done and I was like, it needs one more song and it needs a name. And I was playing around with some names, but I was like, nothing feels right. I still don't know what to call this. And I was listening to like the link one day, driving to a session of all the songs that I already had done. And the phrase "it took me falling" literally did just like pop into my mind, like, oh, it took me falling all those times to fall for real kind of thing. And I was like, okay, that's it. And so I went to a session the next week and like wrote it with my good friend John Dyke, and we wrote it in I think like 20-30 minutes outside, and the voice memo is what ended up on the project. So it just felt right. It was one of those moments where I was just like, yeah, I think that's it.
That's so cool. Yeah, it just like I think it's cool that it's called "It Took Me Falling" and like everything sort of fell into place with it. It just feels very like meant to be. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about like what in general, like, do you feel like your process for songwriting or like recording is collaborative? You just mentioned like you have a friend that you work with.
Yeah, I feel like Nashville is such and LA. Like I have a ton of insanely talented friends who are producers and also co-writers who I've worked with for several years now at this point. I think we have a really great relationship of like, I know I love to write the story. And like, for example, John is like just a crazy guitarist, like an incredible instrumentalist and producer. And so it's always cool for me to like tell him an idea and he'll like immediately start strumming some chords or something like that just feel like that feeling before I've even started fully writing the words. And so like for that scenario, he wrote the chord progression and I wrote the lyrics and then it was done. So there's a ton of people who are much more talented at instruments than I am that I work with. So
that's fair. That's really cool that it like, yeah, you get to watch it come to life. Like, and I would imagine there has to be a lot of trust with what you like share. Like, is there sort of like a sense of vulnerability that you have to get past when you're like sharing your songwriting?
Definitely. And I think that's part of like the writing scene here in LA is like, it's almost like dating, people say, because it takes a few times to know, like, okay, do we jive? Are they going to feel like I'm a crazy person for talking about this subject or this thing? And so particularly the people I worked with on this project are just some of the people who over the past few years, I'm like, nope, they get it. They are not going to judge me for it. But it definitely is like always a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It's so vulnerable, but that's really cool that like there's like a trust to it. I always like to hear also from people like in studio sessions say it's almost like when you build that trust with certain people and you work with them time and time again, you have this like unspoken language, sort of like how you were saying
100%.
the chords. Yes. And you're just like, yeah, like how did you just like take that?
Exactly. It's weird. It definitely is true though.
It's really cool. Yeah. Are you excited to perform these songs live?
Yes, I actually just had my first Nashville headliner show. It was Friday of last week, and it was super fun to perform these songs live. Just because it's always like a fun, fresh feeling to be like, playing these songs, but hearing them all together kind of in like a cohesive setting live too was really special. And seeing people already knew the words to them and stuff like that.
Oh,
was really
wow.
Fun.
Yeah. Do you feel like, how do you connect with your fans and your listeners generally?
I mean, my biggest thing is like, I feel like we do speak through the music. Like that's kind of my diary. And then people will reach out on social media or any different way, and we'll connect that way. But live performance is definitely my favorite way of connecting, just because I don't know, it's just like that unspoken energy of like we're all here for the same reason. We all get it. We all feel this way. So to be able to experience that all together is definitely my favorite way.
Totally. Yeah. It's really amazing how there is this unspoken like community. Like I go to shows by myself all the time and I never feel alone. Like it's just this,
No,
right? Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah. And I love to hear that from like the musician or the artist perspective too, that like you're connected to that. Cause I think like you're the one creating it, you know? So yeah, that's really cool. Do you feel like there are any like who like inspired you sound wise, I guess, for this type of album? I mean, for me, like I thought of definitely like the Gracie Abrams kind of style songwriting, storytelling. Yeah. Like with more of an edge, maybe, not to say that like she's not edgy, but like there's just like a little bit of a layer. Yeah. Like
totally.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I'm right about that.
No, we're on the same wavelength. I feel like I went back to a little bit more of like definitely like the pop girly storytelling. Like I'm an all-time like love Taylor Swift, love her writing. Was really into the Gracie record listening to this. Holly Humberstone and Maisie Peters are also people I listened to a lot during this time. Just sort of an eclectic, like I just wanted the cinematic storytelling vibes.
Yeah, cinematic is the right word for sure. And yeah, it reminded me a lot of like early Taylor Swift and like her love story songwriting. It's just so good. Go. Okay. That's awesome. Do you feel like, like the song Not Used to You, which I talked about, like, I'd love to hear sort of like the creative process. There's so many fun references, like the fact that you were able to like weave in so many French sayings and make it sound, I was just like, that's so cool.
Oh, sick.
And like the Jane Austen reference. Yeah. Like what was like the whole story behind that song?
So I had just started like, I don't even know if we were officially dating, like my boyfriend and I at the time. And it was the first time I was like, whoa, like I've never felt like this. I've never had someone be this nice and wonderful. Like I'm not used to this. It's almost like, what do I do with this? Like, this is weird. I don't know what to do. And it's like that weird uncomfortableness of like, it's like when you're used to being really sad or heartbroken, you're almost comfortable there. Right. And so that was the concept I brought in. And I was like, I just want to write the song called Not Used to You. Like, I know that's the title. Like, I don't know what it is. And I was like, I want it to be upbeat and fun. And Todd Tran is a good friend of mine who produced it. And so he made that track. But then we had this like plucky guitar and I was like, how do we make it fun? And I think we just started saying like, you know how you like mumble melodies and like you have filler words. And I think one of them literally was like, say la vie, whatever the fuck that means. And that was like, we were like, wait, that's kind of cool. Like, what if we kept that? And then we kept adding French words. And I think I'd recently watched, what's it called? I'd recently watched the Pride and Prejudice movie for the first time and never seen the film. And so the hand scene, you know, all of that. We were like, we got to throw in a little Jane Austen reference. And my friend Sam Barker was also in that session with us, and he's very quick with the putting those words together. But it was fun. It was definitely like, pop songs like that are sometimes the hardest for me to write because it's like you have to say less almost to say more. Yeah. So it was just like kind of not overthinking it, which was the fun part.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it too. It does feel like there's definitely like depth and substance, but there is this lightness to it, I guess, with the flow of how it goes. And it's a really fun one to listen to. What was it like sharing this project with your boyfriend?
It was, I mean, thankfully he has always been like the most supportive of my music. And it's part of, you know, our initial like first conversations and getting to know each other. And I think like, it was like it's 2 months into us officially dating. I was like, this is weird, but you know it's coming. Like I wrote you these songs and I played them like Not Used to You, and there it is. And he loved it. And that was really cool. And I asked him at the show the other night, because he was at the headline show. I was like, how does it feel that like this was all basically because of you? And he's like, it's pretty cool. And so he's great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's like really vulnerable, but like, of course it wasn't for him being such a great guy like that. Yeah. The music wouldn't have.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. If you wanted someone, a new listener, or even an old one, like to understand you in one song that's like feels most representative of you from this EP, which one would it be?
This EP, I would have to say it's probably There It Is, because I feel like you get a little bit in depth into my writing and just how I like to like phrase things. And you can kind of get some background and like there's clearly some like overthinking anxiety there. But also I think it's just like a song where I tried to make life, I tried to write about it in the way that, you know, when it feels really pretty, you don't want to change or edit that. And I just tried to make it feel pretty, which is often the goal in music with me.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. What was like the messaging behind it, I guess, of like specifically what were you vulnerable about?
I think just like admitting that I've had my walls up for most of my life and that I have been looking. I'm someone who is openly admitting like I want certain things out of life. Like I've dreamt about, you know, like having that love and having those dreams and all of those things. And it was that moment of realizing like, oh, there it is, like literally right in front of me, that thing I've wanted forever. So I think that was the vulnerable part, is also just like, people aren't used to hearing me talk about love or happy things really. So that was a little bit scary too.
Yeah, definitely. No, that makes sense. I know you've had like in the past a lot of like more intimate ballads, but you definitely also had more of this like high energy kind of rough around the edges rock. Like I actually had one of your old songs on my playlist. I didn't even realize it was like the Rehab remix. I was like, oh
no way.
I've listened to this song so many times. It's so great.
All of those years ago. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like, 2020, I was just saying that's crazy that was like a while ago.
That was a time, dude. That was a time.
Yeah,
wow.
That song definitely gained traction at the time. What was that like? Because that's, I feel like, a very different style from like the EP.
Yeah. I mean, I was 18 and also just trying to figure out what my sound was. And that was a really cool like experience to obviously be able to have a song with Rehab. And then it came out during 2020. And so it was a lot of like, it was doing super well online and it was like on Billboard and all this stuff. But I was just at home. People were like, what are you doing? Like, and I was like, I'm just 18 at my house. Like, I'm not doing anything at all.
That's so surreal.
Yeah. So it was like, this stuff it was definitely like life-changing in many ways, but also like, I didn't do a ton differently at the same time. I think it was definitely a cool experience, like learning like what kind of music I wanted to make and being able to play around with different sounds like that too.
Totally. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Were you, you're a TuneCore artist, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I used to work for TuneCore actually back in 2020.
Wow.
So funny, small world. But yeah, I want to definitely ask you like about being an independent artist. Like, wow, I know very well, but like from someone who's not as familiar from like what the pros and cons are, like what would you say? What freedoms you value through being independent and like what has been more challenging?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the freedom comes with like even just the earlier conversation of being like, I want to put out an EP. You know, instead of a single, like when you're, you know, independent, you do have that luxury of being able to say, I can put out as much music whenever I want. There's no, you know, terms and conditions with that. But I think also like, you know, it's a difficult industry to like get on the ground and like, get things moving. And you need a lot of, you know, connections at times. And like, it's also an expensive industry. Touring is expensive. You know, bringing a song to life takes a lot of time and expense and a team behind you. So I think there are definitely like those challenges come along with it, like financially and just timing wise, being a, you know, smaller fish in a big pond. But there's benefits to both. And I'm really grateful to, you know, be able to make music the way I am right now and put it out at the pace I do and kind of get to do whatever I'm feeling on that day.
Yeah, that is so much freedom in terms of like promotional and that side of it. I know you kind of touched upon social media. Like, do you find that difficult or challenging? Because I mean, I find it really difficult and challenging. Let's be real. But
yes, I definitely do. Yeah. And I mean, I have a lot of friends who like are independent as well, but they just crush on social media. And I often wonder if it does go back to the like, okay, is this where kind of I'm shy in real life? Maybe when you put a little tiny phone in front of me and a bunch of young people also around, like, is that like, you know, a little bit part of the
middle school,
right? Like being at the mall and you see middle schoolers, I'm like, oh my God. So it's kind of that fear, I guess, is like, am I cool enough to be doing this? So it's tough, but it definitely is the name of the game. And when you're an independent artist, you've got to be doing it. I could definitely be doing better at it. I still don't know what the heck I am doing. I'm just posting the music and hoping that it finds people it resonates with.
Yeah, I think what you're doing does work though, especially because you're such a storyteller. Like from what I've seen of like you just singing the lyrics and having the lyrics kind of written out is like it gives a lot of space for opportunity for the listener to like find their connection to you. I think
open to advice.
It's so challenging, but I do believe that people and the algorithm like find you the way. That sounds creepy, but you know, like the people who are meant to.
No, I do get it. Like it's like the right people do find you when it's the right time.
Yeah, so. Exactly. Also, I kind of creeped on you. I was curious. I saw Noah Khan follows you.
Yes, dude. I'll tell you that story. I was I think I was still 18 and I like just got in my big girl apartment in Nashville. I lived there by myself and I was so excited. And I was writing I had written 2 songs that ended up being on my first album. But I was deep, heavy in my Noah Khan phase. I think he had just put out the Cape Elizabeth EP at the time. And I DM'd him this like long paragraph and I sent him a Dropbox link to the 2 songs. There was one called, what were the 2 songs I sent him? Leaving Wednesday was the song. And I was like, Noah, like, I love the song. Like, you really inspired me. Like, told him how you changed my life and all this stuff. And he listened to it and he was kind enough to like respond and listen to the song. Wow. And like, he followed me and has, you know, kept up with some of my stuff on social since then, which has been really, really wonderful. And then obviously now he is the Noah we know today. But no, it was just a cool moment to where I was like, please listen to this. I love you. So yeah,
that's so cool. And just speaks to how great of a guy he already seems like he is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, imagine like, I'm crazy. I don't even know how he saw it. So it was really cool. Really special.
But I think that's such a good like testament to sort of just like, you just did that. Like, good for you. Like, if you hadn't put yourself out there, like, it's not like it would have been a less likely, you know, that he would have come across you and it resonated. So I think there's like a lesson in that for sure.
Yeah. You gotta, you know, ask the questions and send things your way when you feel like it's the right moment for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You had an interesting 2020 first.
Like, I did.
Yeah. Well, it worked out. But yeah, kind of going back to like your process, how do you know, like one thing I love to ask people is like, how do you know when a song or a project is finished?
This is like terrible, but it really is like a feeling. Like it's like a vibe. Like I feel like for me, it does go back to a lot of like, is there anything I could say that I haven't already said? And if the answer is yes, then okay, let's explore that. But I feel like it's said everything it needs to say and the story is complete. Like I feel like it's done. Yeah. And something I've learned is like the importance of like leaving things be when they're right, you know, because I think I do have the tendency to try to like perfect and overwrite things. But yeah, it's more of just a vibe. You just kind of know when you know, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. I mean, there's something so truth to like your intuition and like, especially that it's such a personal piece of work that like you have to trust when you know it's done. But yeah, I can imagine like the perfectionist side of me I would be like, wait, but yeah.
It's hard to let it go for sure.
Yeah. How has it been more like, especially being independent, like from like the visual side of like your creativity? Like, have you done any music videos for the EP? Like, how's that been going?
Yeah, so I love the visual aspect of side of things. I love music videos. And in the past, I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of music videos. But this time I kind of wanted to experiment with like, okay, what's the best way to like make short mini music videos, I guess, that could be on like social media and things like that. And I had the opportunity to work with my creative director, Maggie London. She's here in town and she has some really cool friends who have really cool lights and really cool ideas. And so we kind of just like had one big 12-hour day where we rented this studio and kind of tried to build the world in different little segments as far as like short form content would go. So for like Not Used to You, it was a lot of moving lights and very fast paced cuts and things like that. And then for the softer songs, we had this like soft world built with curtains and wind and all of this stuff. Cool. So just trying to find like attention grabbing things that felt right for the music at the same time. They're not full-fledged music videos, but they were trying to elevate the content a little bit besides me being in my living room. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's really unique. And again, like you have that creative freedom to do something like that. Yeah. And it feels like it aligns well with like the way people like ingest content now. It's like with short attention spans and all that.
I know. I'm the same way though. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to lock in. I need to stay for more than 30 seconds. So
right. Yeah. I saw this TikTok that was literally like testing how long you could like keep your attention span. And I was like sweating by the 2 minutes.
I don't need to watch that. I think I'd have to like check myself into something. I would need to figure, oh, that'd be tough.
You feel so bad about myself. It's like, wow, okay.
But we're all in it though.
Exactly.
It's not just you.
The fact that this has like 1 million views is quite telling, but yeah, that's so funny. But yeah, I mean, this is really cool. You like, I know I asked you this sort of in the beginning, but like, yeah, has it really hit you that this is like now out for the world? Like it's in the world's hands?
Yeah, it has. I think Friday morning, like when it at first, like I made the post at midnight, turned my phone off and like just like sat with it for a minute and then woke up the next morning and like saw people like responding to it and reacting. And I think that's always like a moment where I'm like, okay, it's here. People are listening. People know what's up. And it's a beautifully tragic moment because I love having things to obsess over and work on. And I love the process of creating a project like that. But then it's also like so fun and beautiful that it's like now everyone gets to hear it. So it's a weird mix of,
it's like a little bittersweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like, are you going to continue to like perform it? What's sort of next for the project itself, would you say?
So the next steps for me are hopefully to go on tour. I'm really working on, so I love touring. So we're looking at some potential opportunities for that later in the summer, fall, hopefully. And then from there, it's kind of just like, hope people still keep listening to it and responding and obviously promoting it on socials, but I've already started thinking about the next stuff. So,
wow, that's really cool. Yeah. So you feel like, does it feel like how does it feel to sort of be in that space to be able to start thinking about the next thing?
It feels like a liminal space a little bit. Like it's kind of like testing the waters. It takes a few tries every time for me to kind of know what sonically and like obviously like what the whole next era of things is going to be. So it's like a weird in between testing it out period, which can only last like a couple months for me. So it's a fun but weird time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It is especially in such a digital age. Like even the idea of what you said, like you shut your phone off and like went to sleep. It's like Christmas Eve and you're like, oh,
it is. Yeah. It's like hope everything worked out. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. Which of course it did. But yeah, I can imagine that's like a very almost like a vulnerable phase in the whole experience of it. But yeah.
Every release I have this like paranoia that I've like uploaded like some random like YouTube audio or something like this doesn't even make sense, like 60-second Vine compilation to TuneCore or something like that instead. So that's always my nightmare. I always so
well I can attest that the TuneCore team is on it, so if you ever did,
they're on it like so that, yeah.
But that's hilarious. I also have had fears like that with my podcast where somehow like as I'm editing some weird clip is just gonna like fall into the middle of the episode.
Right. It's like, oh, did I accidentally upload malware into this link and now everybody like I don't know.
Totally.
I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? No. Well, I think you're good. You're safe. Yeah. That's funny. For people who are like, interested or inspired by your songwriting and maybe are the ones that are like in, the room listening to your music, whether you're on stage or like in their bedroom and they're really inspired, like what advice would you give them if they're feeling like they're nervous to sort of take that public step with like their art?
I think the best advice I have when it comes to this stuff is, just write it down and like put it out there because you never know what it is that's going to resonate with people. It's always like the best thing you have to offer is the unique perspective of you. And, that's really what people are going to latch onto and what people find interesting and intriguing and beautiful is your perspective and take on it. And so don't try to like edit it too much. Don't conform too much. Just write it down and take that step because once you take that step, like things really start moving in a way that you become just so comfortable doing it at some point.
I love that. Yeah. There's something sort of like, I always joke with certain guests, like this podcast is like very woo-woo positive. And like, I think there's a theme of what you're saying of sort of like writing things down or like putting them into like the physical existence and letting it sort of trusting that and like really trusting the process.
Yeah. You've got to take that leap. Yeah.
100%. That's really cool. Well, I'm so excited for what's to come. And I'm telling you, I've been listening and dancing around to your EP all week in preparation for this interview. So I hope to get to see you on tour. I know I've never been to Nashville, so I'm long overdue. I need to go.
Gotta come.
Yeah, I will.
Hit me on email. We'll have a weekend.
Yeah, I love that. To wrap things up, I just have a couple more like fun questions. I'd love to know, like, if you could have like your dream legacy act to perform a song with, who would it be?
I mean, I feel like it's somewhere between like the Goo Goo Dolls and Taylor Swift. Like I love both, both mean so much to me. I mean, probably Taylor. Like I would die. I mean, I think I would die. So yeah.
You can't go wrong with that answer.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Goo Goo Dolls before?
Never in person. No.
So, yeah, I've heard they're really good. I just watched their Tiny Desk the other night and it was like really, really good.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's pretty new. You should check it out. They've definitely like they're just like they're as good as they were when the first Iris came out. Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good one. And amazing. And the last question I'd love to ask is if you had to give your music career an album title so far, what would you name it?
I think I would probably name it something like Head First.
Ooh.
Because I feel like that's kind of the perspective I've had to take in like kind of the mental attitude I've had to adopt, not only my music career, but just life in general is like, if I want to do this, I'm doing it head first, all in. And that's kind of where I've seen the most growth. Is like, I'm an emotional, strong feeling person. And so I just got to dive fully into everything.
Yeah. Spoken like a true songwriter. That was a really good one. Well, amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone listening. Please check out It Took Me Falling out now, wherever you get your music. And yeah, thank you so much. Congratulations on the really beautiful release. And I'm so excited for what's to come.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Last time I felt this speechless.